There are two main issues that are currently holding the industry back, but the same thing that is holding the industry back is creating a great opportunity, not only for Jamaica UAV, but for Jamaica and Jamaica industries at large. So we really want to move it away from what it is we are trying to achieve, but how Jamaica can position itself to take advantage of this new technology. There are two things. One, the Federal Aviation Authority has grounded all use of commercial drones, and the President, Mr. Obama, has tasked them to come up with a national strategy to see how they are going to be integrated into the national airspace by 2015. There are no two ways about that. In doing so, he also set up, well, the FAA set up some designated countries that would allow for testing and development. The second critical issue that is preventing the explosion or the quick take-up of this technology is the question of, having put these birds or planes in the air, how do we, when it's 20 nautical miles offshore, how do we control it? Over what spectrum does one use to control these planes? And the international body that allocates spectrum in 2015 is going to be allocated spectrum specifically for that. So what that would allow is for, as we now understand in new technologies, is standardization. So the manufacturers will then know what transmitters to build into their equipment, and it would now be ready for market. So that is, it's important for us to start here, because as we stand before you, we are suggesting to you that we are possibly, no, not we are possibly, we are in a better position than the United States of America today to develop this technology and move forward it and become a leader in the technology. The reason being is a harsh and very strict regulatory controls in the United States, and the fact that the same technology that's available to them is available to us. It's just that our legal and regulatory environment is not as strict. So this is a nice quote that I thought was very relevant. Isn't it astonishing that all these secrets have been preserved for so many years just so we could discover them? The fact of, and this is from the Wright brothers, and thought was very appropriate because it deals with the same avionics industry. The fact is that we are not doing, there's no individual new component that we're taking to the table. It's just a convergence of existing technologies and existing services. And this takes us up straight to work with me. Good. This takes us up to what inspired Christopher Haddad to delve into this. For my part, my name is Chukwuemeka Cameron. I'm an attorney at law. I was inspired about in technology some time ago by my good friend Mr. Christopher Haddad, and that is why we deem ourselves the right brethren. We have traveled a similar path, and we have come up with a solution that we think can assist in developing our Jamaica. On that note, I'm going to hand over the microphone to Chris.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. All right, I'm Christopher Haddad. I've got close about 25 years of experience in the IT industry, and I've been operating my own mission-critical hosting and live webcasting company out of Toronto, Canada. So what I'm going to basically do is tell you a little story about how Jamaica UAV, the actual seed was planned. My father and other family members are land surveyors here in Jamaica. And ever since I was a little boy, growing up with my father to bush, that I understood that there was a massive need for aerial imagery in Jamaica. And when I found out through my father that the one or two suppliers that were providing locals with aerial imagery have actually unfortunately passed away. And due to the economic climate, there was nobody there to fill this void. So what I did was, because I'm in IT and I love technology, I went to do some research. I went back up to Canada and I immediately invited all of the current UAV suppliers that were providing aerial imagery turnkey solutions to give me a demonstration and for me to learn about their products and services. I learned very quickly that this so much reminded me of the early days of the internet, where products were overpriced, they were buggy, and had quick turnaround, meaning that if you invested in something today, in 6 months you'd have to throw it away or replace it because something new and cheaper was coming out of it. So after, I think about the second or third company, and these were companies from worldwide, they had representatives in Canada, from France and Switzerland, United Kingdom and Australia, that I found out that their products were basically in what we call the mid-tier UAV price range. So you've got basically the Global Hawks, which are military-based UAVs without weapons that they're using for commercial use. You then have the mid-range, what we call the $40,000 to $100,000 UAVs, and then you have the sub $10,000. These were in a $40,000 range, specifically targeted to my father's industry, which was land surveying. And I was very disappointed because I was saying to my father, "Boy, Dad, you know what, the man wants to spend $40,000, but 60% of the image don't turn out, right? We have to refly this thing." Or the fact that if you crash the drone, it was $500 to replace one Pipini wing, and you had to wait 6 months for delivery. So, what I ended up doing was doing it myself. So what I've been doing for the last 3 years is doing a lot of intensive research on different airframes, composite materials, cameras, gimbals, vibration, anti-vibration dampeners, sensors, accelerometers, antennas, different spectrums in terms of what the legal system says we're allowed to run, in terms of wattage we can run these antennas at, different propulsion systems, batteries, and also, more importantly, fail-safe systems. So after basically doing a lot of research and building my own drones and flying my own drones, not only in Canada, but out here in Jamaica, what we've basically come up is what I like to call a low total cost of ownership UAV. So it's basically the sub $10,000 range that has the same capabilities, maybe not range, maybe not in endurance, but the same type of quality image or data set we can collect at a sub $10,000 UAV system. And as you can see, we've brought a small selection of our UAVs. Now what I found, because I've worked heavily with my father here, is that there's a need for both fixed wing and vertical lift. My father does a lot of work in bush, where you have no area to land or take off a fixed wing drone. Right? So we do need the capacity to have a vertical lift UAV, which is the two that you see here. Both of them, by the way, are also fully autonomous, meaning that you can pre-program them and they will fly themselves. We also have a various variety of fixed-wing drones, which also have different payload capacities, which will hold different sensors and imagery devices. As I was saying, custom-built UAVs for particular solutions. To give you a general idea, we've got fixed-wing drones here that will map out about 100 square kilometers within one flight, which will also give you, in terms of, for those of you in the land surveying industry, we can now get a 2 centimeter per pixel digital elevation model from a 24 megapixel RGB camera. Alright, the next item that I just wanted to cover is that the majority of the crafts that you see here might look like toy planes, but the power really relies on basically the same power that you have in your pocket right now, which is a cell phone. The mass production of accelerometers and GPSs from the Chinese market has made these components very, very cheap. And basically, we have selected 2 different flight control systems. One is an open source system by a company called 3D Robotics, which carries the APM flight controller, and the Pixhawks flight controller. On the vertical lift craft, we also have from a company called DJI. Now, what does these do? They basically turn these UAVs into autonomous vehicles that you can not only program to do missions, but you can actually program to trigger certain devices or sensors on the drone. So for example, whether it is an RGB camera because you're a land surveyor and you want a digital elevation model, you can actually have the software trigger the actual cameras. Or, for example, if you wanted to create a solution where you wanted to drop medicine because a bridge washout and you had somebody stranded and there was a hospital that needed certain medication, you could also pre-program this for the drone to fly up the mountainside and drop off medication. So I just wanted to go over the services that we currently offer to the marketplace right now. One and prominent is aerial mapping and surveying. Second is aerial videography and photography services. And then we also provide consulting services as well.
Let me contextualize that from a business proposition point of view. So, and I would use Mr. Kong's scenario to put it in context. So what technologies are available today if we wanted to, or more importantly, what would have been available yesterday to spot poachers 100 miles off of our borders? The traditional, well, I've reached, sorry. I'm going to work with a slide. I haven't reached there yet. So what we are looking at and what UAVs are disruptive technologies. We need to appreciate that a disruptive technology is something that changes the game 100%. So in this scenario painted by Mr. Kong, what would have had to rely on are satellite imagery, or we'd have to rely on fixed planes to actually identify people poaching in our seas. One of the biggest constraints that were identified by using the planes are the cost associated with that. Satellite imagery as a third world nation, just interested in our fishing zone, the fact we couldn't imagine the financial cost that would be associated with that. To say, let us get live video feed from our satellites. So that is not an option to us today, although that technology is there. With this disruptive technology, there are a number of risks that come with it, but with those risks are the same opportunities, because as Chris pointed out, there's a very low total cost of ownership, and it allows us to learn and grow. So Chris already went through the nature of our end-to-end platform. So it was interesting to note that the Department of Defense of USA views the use of UAVs are a key element within the concept of information dominance. We, as a service provider, have a totally different approach or concept as it relates to that. We see our platform as a platform to democratize information. So whereas information, spatial data information that would have been too costly to obtain, now we can readily obtain. Any small agency, any company, any individual can now access information and apply it as it sees fit. So here we just put up a little mind map so we understand, or we could better explain what we think our unique value proposition is. So we have two axes, one that addresses image resolution and the other one that represents cost. If you were to look over to the left upper quadrant, we see where, yes, right now we saw where a Google Earth image was used by Mr. Kong, but what are the difficulties with that? Although it's nearly free, you have a professional version, the imagery is extremely poor, as in very low resolution. And when you look at the axis at the bottom, the frequency of the image generation. So that image that we're looking at could have been 2 years ago, 3 years ago, but is definitely not last week or yesterday. When you go over to the right, the bottom right quadrant, when we look at a manned airplane, it does allow us to, the cost is much more reduced than using the satellite, and the frequency is more on demand. However, the cost of mobilization and even the time required to mobilize a plane to acquire that imagery is a constraint. When you look at the UAV solution, we get to benefit from high image resolution because of the type of sensors and cameras we are using. We get to benefit from the very low cost of deployment. So at the end of the day, we're looking at 3 different technologies, but one of them are best suited for the state of our economy and our development where we are in. Given this contextual scenario, some of us may be familiar with the Blue Ocean strategy. This is where, because we do consider ourselves innovators and we are using the disruptive technologies, we have the opportunity to create a platform that is agnostic. So the question that we would ask is, what is your industry and what is the problem your industry is facing? Because given the nature of the technology, we have the capacity to customize, to build solutions that meet existing problems. This is more some factual from a cost basis, a cost comparative in terms of the type of imagery one could achieve and the comparative cost to achieve it. So on the left, we have a Jamaica UAV, for example, being able to give a resolution of 1 to 6,000. And the important part, or one distinct advantages, is that we have the ability to do it on demand. And in comparison to the cost of doing it by way of satellite, we are less than 20%. On the right, we have the manned aircraft, where the best they could offer, and this was back, well, this is the latest information I have in 2001, they can offer a scale of 1 to 20,000, and that cost will be 50% of the cost of satellite. So here we have the resolution decreasing, but the price increasing. And then we have at the bottom the satellite that will only give you a resolution of 1 meter. So we have this technology. We believe there's a unique value proposition. The question is, how do we make it available to persons who may be interested in using this technology? Given the flexible nature of the product and our business model, we have packaged it in several different ways. And this even addresses one of the questions that Mr. Kang had asked. So firstly, given the specific skill sets that are needed that don't necessarily exist today, we offer a total end-to-end solution where we will offer one, the UAV. We will capture the aerial imagery as a full turnkey service. Separate and apart from that, we will also process the imagery and hand off a finished product. Two other alternatives exist. If it is, we are looking at a Ministry of Security or some entity that thinks they need to own it themselves, we are prepared to build and customize the actual UAV and the solution. And coupled with that, we'll also offer maintenance contract, because rest assured, you will be crashing it very frequently and losing them very frequently, as we have done. So we do offer one, just a straight sale with a maintenance contract and servicing contract. And finally, depending on the industry you're looking at, we can offer this, what we want to call a service, using cloud computing, the service as a, well, the solution as a service. So for example, we want to monitor, go back to Mr. Khan's example, we want to monitor our seas. All you need to have is an interconnected viewing device where we will actually capture the content, use exploit Chris's experience in stream the content to our cloud and all the data to our cloud services. And then once you can connect to the internet, you can download the images next to real time on any laptop, any phone with internet connectivity. So we have really attempted to structure our services in a variety of ways. So one, for those who are adventurous, you can buy it and we'll fix it and replace it at a low cost when you match it up, because you will. Two, we could offer the service for you and actually walk you through the process. And if you're not interested in all of that and you just want information, we will deliver it to your device so you can view it when and where necessary. So this is the secret sauce of the solution that we offer. It is not in the airframes, it is not in the regulations, but this is the secret sauce. And I'm going to invite Chris, but I can't speak to this. I'm going to invite Chris to speak to the IT part of it.
Alright, so essentially the UAVs are equipped with very advanced flight control systems. One of which we decided to use is with it's from an open source community, DIY drones. Basically, we've got a leverage of roughly about 150,000 developers worldwide that can assist us to develop these flight control systems to do multiple different things, whether it is doing terrain modeling or terrain following, where you tell the drone to fly a particular mountain path and stay 50 feet above the ground because you want to look for certain species of plants or biological mass, or whether it's certain species of fruit, or whether you're doing assessment on animals. It's a really excellent platform to develop on, and we can leverage the cloud-based community for that. In addition to that, the flight control systems also have the ability to not only work on an RF signal, which has regulatory issues in terms of how much watts we can use to talk to the actual craft with it, which affects the range, but we can utilize infrastructure that already exists, and that is basically your cell phone towers. Both of these flight control systems do work on UDP or TCP/IP. Basically, it's internet talk. So we can connect these things up to the internet, and all of the telemetry data, all of the GPS data, and also all of the imagery data or additional sensors, whether it's air quality sensors, FLIR cameras, all of that data can be pushed in over the internet, whether it's the public internet or even a private internet, to a cloud-based service for data acquisition. So it is an excellent platform that is cost-effective, affordable, assembled and built right here in Jamaica.
So we're just going to, this is one solution where Chris at the beginning told you what are the specific services that we're offering today. These are one of the specific services that we would offer tomorrow, as in actually tomorrow. So for example, disaster management, we are in the hurricane season, and we're of the view that a platform such as this can offer real solutions. So before hurricane, we would send our aircraft at a designated area and just take a reconnaissance of the actual situation. Immediately after the event, we will send the same aircraft up, and from that we produce geo-reference data about the affected areas. That is critical to, those who understand it's critical, and these two guys will tell you why it's critical, not me. With that information, that's critical to planning and allocating of scarce resources, and this is next to real time. What we have to do in Jamaica today, what we know that happens is that JDF, well, it comes from the office of the Prime Minister. You have to jump in a helicopter and take a visual tour of what the damage is. And that information is not even properly captured because it's only video images, and that's a one flight over. With this sort of solution, we can, all the relevant stakeholders, be it the military, be it the first responders, be it the Prime Minister's office, all of them who have to allocate the scarce resources, can have real-time video images as it's happening.